Thanks for staying with Your View. Well, it doesn't mean when he's not here, you're not going to know what's on his mind. JJ says that August is a month of reflection. Let's listen as to why he believes that August should be used as a month to look deep within ourselves as South Africa.
And good evening and welcome to Your View with me, Onkopotse JJTabane. You know, the month of August tends to bring out the best and the worst in our country. In 2006, on this month, in fact, literally to the day, Tony Yengeni was sentenced to a couple of years in prison. And the East ANC comrades held him shoulder high into Victor Festa prison. It was like a rally, but Muto has been found to be guilty of fraud. They were holding him, holding him high, sky high, and seeing him off into Victor Vesta prison. It was an imprisonment of a different type. It was not an imprisonment of a hero, like we used to have in the past when it became a struggle credential to go to prison. Even people who didn't do anything serious, they just wanted to clock that. I mean, there are some students here who were doing a sit-in at university. We ended up in prison. So what? It was not there. There's nothing to be proud of. No. They marched with him. Because of fraud. Yeah, arms deal. Agree discount to mo Mercedes again. Terrible. Yeah, 2006, almost to the day. Anti-advert. When a politician has denied something, you must actually start believing it. Especially when they deny very, very much. Took out a big advert, and at Sunday Times, as it is now, it's very expensive to take out an ad in the Sunday Times. Took it a big ad, denying, then it ended up, the truth came out that he was telling a bloody lie, and he ended up in prison. Tony Yengeni, he hates it when we remind him, but he is an example that the law of this country must apply to all. You may have been a commander of Mkonto Esizwe. You may have been a commissar. But when you have done something fraudulent, you must face the full might of the law. So in a sense, something that reminds us that this constitutional democracy works. So you who think that by filibuster and insults and threats and so on, you will escape the law you want. The law is coming for you. Yes, Anakuwe. This is in the same week, a couple of years ago, 2013, Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka was appointed as Executive Director of the United Nations Women. Once again, a shining light in otherwise a dark story sometimes is told of our country. To say that the whole world saw talent that we have thrown out into the streets. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka should potentially be president of his country easily. No, not more. More meritocracy I say leon. I want to merit in this country. Because it's about which faction you belong to and whose husband or wife you may be. But that's like we say so, you'll be caught in the crossfire. But the whole world stopped and said, there is talent at the tip of South Africa. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka. Fantastic human being, simply exuding of confidence, but not standing alone, but a showcase of the talent that we have of South African women. If you look at people like Gerald de Fraser-Moleketi, also seen and snapped up by the international community to play a role out there, even amidst the trouble that we are in, we got to celebrate that this country can produce fantastic women of talent who are seen not just by us, because often we ignore them, but by the whole world. The first woman to be an AU commissioner met Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, exuding of absolute confidence. Ran that place, a male-dominated place, and he ran it like clockwork. I invite you to go and read up on what she achieved when she was there. Go and read up about how, in a midst of male domination, she managed the same way that she did as Minister of Foreign Affairs, as Minister of Home Affairs, as Minister of Health in this country, leaving a trail and a blaze wherever she went. Forget about this latest thing about NDZ campaign. That's all. That's why she was just lost. I think she just retired now. She has done her duty. I can't imagine that she was going to be president and what have you because of unfortunately, the forces that surrounded her. Dark forces, they just wanted to continue the Zuma, just kleptocracy of the last 10 years. I'm not interested in that. I'm now talking about her as a powerful woman who has indeed trailed the blaze and was recognized by the international community. There's lots of them that I can mention, but I want to simply say, in this Women's Month, there are so many women, and it's not only in the public sector, even in the private sector. We see women who have really scaled the corporate ladder and have exercised absolute leadership that the international community and the corporate South Africa has also recognized. We see powerful women like Putima Hanyele Dabengwa, who's been appointed CEO recently of Naspers. We've seen Nolita Fakude, who's been escalated into the high echelons of Anglo-American. We've seen Busima Vuso, who's the business leadership South Africa chief executive. These are fantastic, fantastic talent amongst our women folk. And so the question is, are we as South Africa going to recognize them and put them in positions where they can continue to make a difference? And here on Newsroom Africa, I've spoken to many, many of them in this Women's Month. We've spoken to people like JJTabane, who spoke to my colleague Kathy Mhlahlana. We've spoken to Trifosa Ramano, who was here on the show a couple of weeks ago. Just such a vast array of women of substance. And so in August, right, this world of two cities, that is South Africa, where we remember the appointment of Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka into the higher echelons of the UN, but also look at some things that shame us, like the fraudulent conduct of some of our leaders, like Tony Ngeni, who in this month, in 2006, was thrown into Victor Verster prison. I hope that this inspires us to say, regardless of the challenges, regardless of the dark cloud that's gathering over us, when you look at some of the conversations we are having and some that we are not having, don't ever lose hope. We've got no luxury to lose hope, because hope is all we have. And amongst us, there are shining lights who can take this country forward. At the same time, we must not be naive to believe that all it takes for us to have competent leaders is for them to be women. There's been some women who have shamed us at the same time. And I know that it is during Women's Month, we are afraid to mention them because, hey, you will be immediately, be called a chauvinist. You'll be immediately be called patriarchal. But it's not patriarchal to say somebody like Gumede, Zandile Gumede, the former mayor of eThekwini, is a crook. We need to call her by the real name. It's not patriarchal to say Ebatabile Dlamini was incompetent. As a Minister of Social Development, not me, but the court of this country said this woman is incompetent. And Harad, hey, Harad, incompetent. But it's the court, is not me. It is simply not patriarchal to say that under Baleka Mbete, a woman basher spent a whole year free to roam around the streets of Parliament without being called to order. And they did nothing about it. And that Parliament was led by a woman, Baleka Mbete, who I have a lot of time for. It's not patriarchal. It's freedom. Because this freedom was not free. I cannot believe that I can have freedom that tells me that, no, but if it's a woman, you cannot criticize her. That's rubbish. It's important that we understand that the equality we are talking about between men and women means that when women staff up, we must be able to tell them they are staffing up. When a Dudu Mieni sings an entire airline, why must I not tell her because she's a woman? It cannot be. So indeed, it's a mixed bag of what we have to deal with as a society. That where there are women leaders who disappoint us, we must be able to call them out. The same way we need to be able to celebrate competent women ministers like your Ayanda Dodos of this world, competent women ministers like your Dr. Naledi Pando, who's now a Minister of International Relations. We must be able, similarly, to call out those who give a bad name to women leadership. One thing that pains me, nevertheless, is that some of these even powerful women sometimes themselves aid patriarchy. They aid patriarchy in our communities and in the manner in which they approach issues such as gender-based violence. And one hopes that as part of these conversations, we need to be able to say, how do we ensure that we don't have women who aid patriarchy, who say to their daughters who have been beaten up by their husband, it's okay, wanaga, bekezela, when in fact they should be saying to their children, stop that nonsense. And don't allow yourself to be used as a punching bag. And so part of Women's Month is, and one has to commend government for having established a summit that took some difficult decisions of how we're going to be dealing with the whole issue of gender equality in this country, and particularly focusing on gender-based violence. But as I was saying at the beginning, we are in good hands. This country is hugely talented, and we continue to praise the women who are making a difference here in Newsroom Africa. Let's take a break now.